Hello, everybody, and welcome to Club Fitting Chronicles. My name is Josh. Joining me today is Gene. Gene, we are on episode number 10 today. Episode 10. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable. No.
This is just, last week we were talking about hybrids and all that other good stuff. Before we get into today's topic, is there anything you want to add on to last week?
Yeah, I had been asked a couple of times. Some people at the golf course were like, where can you get shorter hybrids? And probably your best bet is to contact Scott over at ADS Golf in San Marcos, or I think it might now be in Vista, California, Southern California. And he would be able to walk you through the process of what you would need to tell him to get him, unless you can go over there to visit with him, to build a shorter hybrid that would be possible to get swing weights without, generally speaking, if you have a 40-inch hybrid and you shorten it by an inch, well, that hybrid now is the swing weight just dropped 6 points. You'd have to put a lot of lead tape on there to get it back. And if you wanted to make it, like if it was a 4-iron, you wanted to take it down to 38.5, then you're going to lose another 3 points. So now you've lost 9 swing weight points. It probably started off at about D1 or 2. So now you're down around C3, which is very normal to see in a women's club. And that might not be enough head weight for you. And you'd have to make just put lead tape every conceivable place, but on the face to try to get that swing weight back up. So give Scott a call and see what he can do for you. Again, I've never run into somebody who goes, it's easier to hit and I hit it just as far. I don't like that. So that was the question I heard often on the golf course from people. So I figured there had to be other people who were asking that question, because other than going to a certified or a club fitter, a real club fitter who's going to also build the equipment, you're pretty much out of luck with finding something shorter. It was interesting. Yesterday, we had the first day of golf practice at Christ Greenfield. And I had some sixth graders came in with some clubs from the early 90s. And then a couple of clubs from the like 2001, 2002. And there was a hybrid in there. And the hybrid was a 4-iron. And I measured it lengthwise, and it was like 39 inches. And it was like, wow, that's unusual. But that's how they started. They started off shorter. And then over time, they went longer and longer.
Interesting. Yeah. Why do you think they did that?
Went longer and longer?
Yeah.
Because what sells? It's hard to have a commercial. Well, you'll hit it closer to the hole. Well, not everybody has the ability to hit every shot closer to the hole. But if I can get you to think you'll hit it further, yeah, I want to hit it further.
Right.
Gotcha.
And
the thing is that doesn't really happen for most golfers. And when it does happen, all it does is it creates a gap between your hybrid and your longest iron, because now one club is going, if you're a good ball striker and you have 3 degrees of loft difference between your longest iron and your shortest hybrid, and your shortest hybrid is 1.5 inches longer than the length it should be if it was an iron, you're going to gain 20 yards, maybe 25 yards. And so now you got a gap, and the game's hard enough without having a gap.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. So touching back on last week, did you get any questions or concerns from any of our viewers, listeners?
I did. It was interesting. I got, one came from talking with a guy on the golf course, and the other one was a little email. And the question was about certified club fitters. What does that mean? And I had to tell them, not a whole lot. There's only one organization that I am currently aware of. There might be others out there. There have been in the past. Some of them have went belly up for a number of reasons. But there's the Association of Club Fitting Professionals. It's out on the East Coast. And there's a test that you have to take. You have to do some club work and send it in and stuff like that. That if you get their certification, that does say that you know something. The thing is they're not physically there to see if you're taking the test or if you get how you're getting the answers to the test. Nor are they finding out, did you do all the work yourself or did somebody else help you with the work? But in all the years of having a shop, I think I was asked the question twice: "Are you a certified club fitter?" And I got to show them all my certification plaques and stuff like that. Had them hanging in the shop for like 10 years and nobody knew what they were and nobody asked me what they were about. The big thing is you need to talk to the person. You need to have somebody who has gone to the person. You need to spend time watching the person. What do they go and do? How do they do what they do? I had one guy who the second guy with the same question. We were on the golf course and he was asking me about, certification. And I said, because I had an interesting experience. I said, "Oh, what's that?" He goes, "Well, I had tried to book a time to get fit at a local Phoenix place and nobody had availability, but there was one." They said, "Oh, but so-and-so, he has some availability this week." "Oh, okay, I'll go and see him." So he gets in and he's going through the process and they're talking, and it's probably, halfway through the fitting and he asked them, about, he got the impression that this guy was just, it was the first couple of weeks that he's been at this golf shop. So, "Oh, where have you been in the past?" "Oh, I used to detail cars. That's what I did 2 weeks ago. I was a car detailer." And I'm not sure quite how that transfers into club fitting, other than, sometimes when I would be repairing or doing club work, I'd have to wash the clubs. So when I could see the face, because some people never bothered to, and clean out the grooves a little bit. But other than that, I don't know that being a car detailer equates to being a club fitter. Normally you find that club fitters are guys who like to play golf, but that doesn't make you a club fitter. It means you're a golfer who is working as a club fitter. So it's really important to kind of, ask for philosophy. How do you, what do you do? How do you do? Why do you do it? And if they're not able to answer questions like that, I would run away. So that was the big question of the week, along with where can I get a shorter hybrid?
Yeah, so you said it's funny because you see all these advertisements and commercials, saying that these guys are certified, but you do ask the question, what does certified mean?
Right.
And that's just a prime example. There's a lot of guys, and I have, a general understanding of clubs. As a golfer, there's a point when you're playing golf, you kind of need to have an understanding of what your clubs are going to do. And you got to understand, what parts of a golf club do which part. So when you're going to get fit by some people and you hear some things from, like, if you go to a basic name brand place, I'm not going to name them, but they have kids like myself, working for minimum wage that are selling golf clubs, but are they certified? And what is their accredit? Yeah, what is their accreditation?
Yeah. Well, they take a club like this and they knight them. You are now certified.
Right. Yeah, you could do that to me right
Yeah,
now.
I used to.
If anything.
Yeah. When I taught at the Golf Academy of America, I would have students in my club fitting class who were working as club fitters.
Mm.
And this was the first class that they had ever taken as a club fitter.
There you go. My point exactly.
Most of the time it was, really? That's what happened? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah. Or the better ones were doing club repair, and I would get phone calls at the shop. Gene, how do I do this?
Right.
What? This club came in without a grip. Oh, that's an AJ Tech shaft. Is it like big enough for you to grip it, and it has some kind of a sticky? Yeah. Well, you're not going to put a grip over it. That is the grip. Then there should be a little cap. Oh no, I threw that little cap away. You better go find it because nobody makes it.
Yeah, and not to talk badly about anybody who is a club fitter who wants to club fit, but it's just interesting to see all these major companies promote their fitters as certified. When what does that accreditation mean? What does that mean to someone of the average mind, the average golfer? They're going to believe that every time. You're going to believe, oh, well, he's all knowing and all seeing, right? So anything that said person is going to say to the customer, they're going to believe, whether or not it's the right or wrong information. So yeah, that's an interesting deal to see, and I'm going to keep my eye out on that now, just how many companies promote that on their website or commercials, whatever the deal is.
At the Golf Academy of America, there was a certification test, and I had rewritten it because it was so poorly written. The one that was there when I started working. And if you passed it with I think it was an 80%, you were given a special, you are a certified club maker, fitter, whatever. And I just kind of go, that's interesting. When I got my certification, it was a 450 question test that I took about a month to do and wrote a 20-page addendum to it saying that some of the questions, the answers were not findable based on the way they presented the question. And, what a quote fit, what that means now, I don't know of any place where you can go and, used to be, you could go to club fitting conventions and stuff like that. All those have pretty much dried up. Maybe the Association of Club Fitting Professionals still has that. Usually that was held in Macon, Georgia, which was like, I'm not going to Macon, Georgia for 2 days and renting a car and flying into Atlanta and all that stuff.
Right.
It wasn't worth my time.
Right.
Knew some of the people involved, and some of them were, I highly respected them, but it was like, the other organization I was a part of, it cost me $39 a year, and I got my $39 worth, but I couldn't see how I was going to get my $300 worth.
Sure. So let's get into today's topic, Gene. What do you have in store for us today?
Well, we're going to kind of talk about lie angle and bounce and sole radius, and maybe we'll talk just a little tiny bit about face progression. For those of us that don't know what that means, it means offset, what that can do in an iron, since we've been talking about irons. The first thing that golfers need to understand, I would have people come in all the time. I'm 1 degree flat. I'm 1 degree upright. And my first question was, from what? Because there is no standard lie angle. You go to Ping, they have their standard. You go to Titleist, they have their own standard. You go to every company, they decide what that is. So the first thing is you never go in. If you go into a place and say, I'm 1 degree up, well, you bend these, and they do, you're being taken because you don't know what they're at to begin with. The plus or minus on a iron loft and lie angle is probably a degree, maybe a degree and a quarter. So when I tell somebody, I'm 1 degree up, it might already be there. What you want to look for, and when you would, if you came into ADS Golf, and I'm sure Scott's continuing this policy, we never bent a set of irons without us going through and having you hit each club. Because first of all, the way I attack a ball with a pitching wedge is different than the way I would attack a ball with a 4-iron. The amount of droop, because the shaft being longer, the shaft is going to droop a little differently with a 4-iron than it is with the 9-iron. And oftentimes I might find that, maybe the sand wedge, gap wedge, pitching wedge, 9-iron needed to be bent a little bit, and the other clubs were fine. And we would look at the, where the ball was, bottom of the club was being struck, and it was fine. It was perfectly fine. But if you bought a new set of clubs from us, I would ask you to go out and play 3 or 4 rounds, 5 rounds, and I want you to, on your scorecard, mark things that you notice, like I am aimed at the target, but the ball always ends up left of the target or right of the target. And it's not a slice. It's not a hook, because lie angle doesn't do that. It's a starting direction. And all I wanted to know is I wanted to know what you were seeing, because when you come to me, sometimes people get a little nervous because, like, I'm a very intimidating person at 5'10", and 60 years of age, 65 years of age. And so, they'd start shaking because, what is he going to think and all this stuff. And usually people would, they would, they're trying to put their best way in. Just relax, have fun. And if they were telling me everything is starting left and going left, and I find out that their club, where they're striking the club is out towards the toe and it needs to go up higher, make the club more upright according to that, well, that's just going to make the ball go more left, the way they're probably swinging it on the golf course. So I would want to get that information. We go and we bend each club individually. I don't measure the pitching wedge and then bend all the clubs off of the pitching wedge. Because the first thing is are they all on, set to the same standard? Are they all on standard or whatever off of standard the pitching wedge was? Are they all the same? Likelihood of that happening, not very good. An easy test, and I did not bring a golf ball in here. I got golf clubs to show the next thing, but I didn't bring a golf ball. Let's see, can I find a golf ball quickly in here? No, I don't have one. An easy test that a golfer can do, if they want to know, are my lie angles really off? Take like an Expo, it's a water-based marking pen. Mark a golf ball vertically. Set the golf ball down so that line is vertical. Take a piece of masking tape, and that's not why this is on here, but take some masking tape, put it on the face, take a swing, and it's going to leave an imprint on the face. If the line is off to the side, that's telling you the lie angle is a little bit off. You're coming in a little bit, toe is up, toe is down. That would give you an indication of maybe there's something that's going on. Doesn't necessarily mean that, but it gives you an indication. Because the hard thing is if you're doing this on a mat, am I hitting the mat and bouncing into the ball? Is that what's going on? If I'm doing it on grass, it gives me a little bit of reading of what's going on. But that would give me a reason, should I go in and get it checked if I'm not sure if I need to get it checked. But the big indicators are the ball always starts a little left. The ball always starts a little right. That's a lie angle issue. As long as, again, I am aimed at the target, and I would have somebody behind me making sure I am aimed at the target, but the starting direction, that's what lie angle is going to cause. what drives me nuts is when I listen to on television and the announcer talks about, the ball gets pulled left and they talk about, it must be, because of the lie angle, the heel dug a little bit. Well, the first thing is the heel dug before I hit the ball. I didn't hit the ball properly. Supposed to hit ball first, then the ground. So it doesn't make the club turn over if the lie angle is too upright or too flat. It's more, I got to make sure I'm coming ball first. The other thing to think about, and this is a hard one, how many flat lies do you get in a round of golf?
Not many.
So you have to be thinking about when you're hitting and you're checking for lie angle and the ball is always left. Well, is the ball always above your feet?
Right.
If the ball is always above your feet and you're hitting with in fact, I have my demonstration clubs. I'll grab those. So I used to get asked a lot about lie angles on drivers. And I would just kind of say, unless we're building something exceptionally short or exceptionally illegal, I am not too worried about a lie angle. So you see, I have this, sold in the position, and it is pointing straight at you, right?
Right.
What if I start, it's still pointing pretty much straight at you. It's just a little bit now to my, me looking at it, it's pointing just a little left of the camera. If you happen to come into the ball like this, it's just a little right. Well, this is a 10.25 degree driver. Lie angle isn't going to be all that effect or have that much effect. In fact, most of the major manufacturers over the years have made drivers much more upright than they used to be, because then the golfer will hopefully hold the club lower. And if anything, it's going to help the ball go a hair more to the left, which is generally better for most golfers.
Mm-hmm.
You do the same thing. This is a 5-iron. So stick my marker on the 5-iron. I have it going right at the camera. If I go way down like this, I'm probably 15 degrees flat. I'm missing you to the left.
Right.
If I go, 15 degrees upright, I'm missing you to the right. But if I'm here and I'm a degree off, there's not a whole lot of movement in that club, that pointer.
Yeah.
It's staying pretty straight. So again, a 5-iron, not something I'm going to be overly worried about unless you're a fantastic ball striker. If I'm a degree off on my 5-iron from 185 yards, am I going to notice that I'm 5 feet left or right of the target? Probably, at my level, probably not. So now we have a sand wedge, and you notice it just takes a little tiny bit of movement, and I'm already not facing you.
Right.
We go from here, I've already missed you. So the more loft on the club, the more it matters. Because, and the easy way for golfers to think about it, you're on a side hill lie and you're trying to chip to the green. The ball's way above your feet. And you go to chip, what's going to happen? Ball's going left. You might only need to hit it in the air 5 feet. But it's like, how did the ball end up 20 feet left of the hole? I was aimed at it. Well, it's the lie angle. If you're on a big side hill lie, you got to aim right at the target if you want to get anywhere near the target. And it's learning how much right do I have to aim based on how much it's falling. But lie angle on a lob wedge, sand wedge, gap wedge, pitching wedge, 9-iron, 8-iron. After that, for most golfers, 7-iron, 6-iron. It doesn't mean you don't check it and bend it if need be, but it's not going to be something that you're going to be really noticing a whole lot of.
Right.
The other thing to understand about lie angle, If I go in and I want my clubs longer by a half an inch, and the lie angle is good. Well, I just made that club 1 degree more upright by adding a half an inch. If I add an inch, it's 2 degrees more upright. So I just need to understand that that's going to happen with lie angle. The other end, bounce is, if I don't know if you can see the gap between the marker and the club head, but that gap in the front of the club, that's bounce. And what bounce, the thing you have to understand, because I would have people come in and want to bend their clubs 3 degrees stronger. Well, if I bend my club 3 degrees stronger, I've lost 3 degrees of bounce. So if I had I want my 60-degree wedge to now be a 57-degree wedge, and I'd had only 6 degrees of bounce, I now have 3 degrees of bounce, which is not going to be enough on my 57. I'm going to be digging all day long.
Yeah.
What bounce does, what its purpose, the easiest, best definition that I've been able to come up with, if you think of, I have a pat of butter, and the butter is it's not soft and mushy yet. It's kind of, recently been out of the refrigerator, so it's kind of firm. If I come into that butter and I come in at an angle like this with a knife, the knife is still going to enter the butter. But if I take a soup ladle or a spoon and I come in with the bottom of the spoon and I hit that butter, the butter's going to push it out. It's not going to dig into the butter. Well, that's what the bounce does on a club. It's there to try to help me from digging in. Things I have to be aware of, a lot of golfers set up with their club like this. So I am introducing a knife to the golf ball and to the ground. If I hit just behind the golf ball, I'm just going to dig. It's not going to be a fun shot. I'm going to be frustrated because I just moved the earth about. I sent a divot flying or stuck to my face, and the ball moved 4 feet. And usually you'll hear the term, "I chili dipped that one." Well, I don't know what chili dipping is, but in golf, it seems to me, and I hit behind the ball, and the ball doesn't go very well. So I have to understand that about bounce. The other thing that you have to understand about bounce, let me put it nicely. There's a huge range of what bounces are created. There are companies that have 7 irons with 9 degrees of bounce, and there are companies that have 7 irons with 3 degrees of bounce. Well, what does that do? The more bounce, it raises that leading edge. So one of the things you have to decide, help you to determine how much bounce you need, number one is, what kind of swing do you have? If I have a very steep swing, I probably am going to need some bounce help. If I have a very flat swing, I can get away with less bounce. But I have to understand the turf conditions and where I play. Like, we play on Bermuda, especially in the rough during the winter months. And during the summer months, we get some Bermuda growing in the fairway, hopefully, unless it's cold like this all year long. Bermuda is going to grab that club and twist it easily. So I want something that's going to help me keep from digging. Bounce is going to help me there. But if I'm playing up in if I'm playing in Arizona in the winter when the grass is about 1/8 of an inch long, and I have 14 degrees of bounce on my club, it looks like the leading edge of the club is sitting up right in the middle of the ball. So the bounce, again, I need to go to my club fitter and what kind of bounce is recommended for the area that I'm in. The other thing that just cracks me up about some of the major manufacturers, they list their bounce as 6.3 degrees of bounce. Well, if that faces a half a degree off, it's no longer a 6.3 degree bounce club. The fact that they're telling me to the point, to the 10th what the bounce is, that tells me I better be checking this all the time. And I shared early in a video, I don't know why this is, but if you're a left-hander, if you have, it's called a dig situation, where the leading edge is sitting down, even though the shaft is vertical, the leading edge is like touching, below the trailing edge. That's going to cause, for a left-hander, it's going to cause you to go hard left if you hit any turf before you hit the ball. And I have seen left-handed clubs come in where the bounce or the loft is like, on a 9-iron, let's say it's supposed to be 39 degrees, and I've measured the loft and it's 31. I don't know why it happens so much with left-handers, but it does. So if you're a left-hander and you're going, I'm having all kinds of issues. If I hit the ground, the ball is going hard left, you need to take those clubs in and have somebody start off with checking the lofts, because that generally is going to cause you some, I've seen way more of that with left-handed clubs than with right-handed clubs. And I've seen, in the United States, I think it's like 10% of golfers are left-handed. So I've probably looked at 2,000 sets of right-handed golf clubs, and maybe, I don't even think of 200 left-handed clubs. And I've seen it with left-handed clubs probably 5 or 6 times where the lofts are way off. The other thing I wanted to just touch a little bit on is sole radius. That's the movement this way. You'll see some clubs are much more rounded than others. One of the things to be aware of, if this is really round and I catch a ball here, it's going to be more penalty to me than if if the club was flatter, I would have more material here. It would be a little higher on the face and the ball's going to go a little bit better. But the big thing to think about, again, is the turf conditions, like on your wedges. You have you're playing in Arizona with our dormant Bermuda at 4 inches long, and this is a straight across face. There's a lot of face that's going to get caught up in that Bermuda before you get to the ball. So one of the things to consider is how much radius do I need? And each company, again, there is no standard. Everybody makes their own. I tend to, in Arizona, like a little bit more curvature. I'm not worrying about hitting too many lob wedges from 80 yards, down here in the low heel or out here in the low toe. If I hit it there, I deserve whatever happens. But for getting through our rough, I want less surface area there. And so that sole radius, again, it's something that every company comes up with their own design for. And it's just something to be aware of. And last but certainly not least is face progression. If you're a low ball hitter, if you tend to fade the ball a little bit and you're looking to try to get some help, it's not going to cure it, but it will give you a little help. You want a club that's more offset. So in other words, the leading edge is going to be a little bit more forward, so that when you come into the ball, the center of gravity of the shaft and the center of gravity of the head will line up or can bend a little bit more. That bending a little bit more helps get the ball up in the air. I don't have any really offset clubs. I was looking for some last night. But a little bit of offset is a big help. It's a bigger help on fairway woods and with drivers. But you don't see many of those. There used to be about every 10 years, they'll start using offset on woods and offset on irons. You don't see many clubs these days with a lot of offset, where, again, 8-9 years ago, you saw some. So I'm going to guess in the next couple of years, though, it'll make its return to having more offsets. And that kind of covers most of it, unless you have questions, because I felt like I was rambling there for a while.
I don't have any questions. I think you pretty much touched. And I mean, bounce, soul, I mean, these are all basic things that you as a golfer, if you want to progress, you need to know these things, because you're going to find yourself in situations in different lies where you're going to have to need that knowledge in order to get out of those situations. Like you said earlier, you're going to have an uphill lie, right? And your feet are going to be, below the ball. And people are always going to be like, well, why'd it go left? Well, because the ball was above your feet, or the ball's below your feet. You're like, wow, I hit that really right. Well, yeah, because the ball is, but below your feet, so it's just basic knowledge that people don't really have a general understanding of, because everybody only focuses on distance and all these other.
Right. And the big thing is with the above and below your feet, the more loft on the club, the more it's going to matter.
Right.
If I'm hitting a 4-iron and the ball is 4 inches above my feet, the lie itself is not going to cause me to go 100 yards left.
Right.
But if I have the ball, say, 8 inches above my feet and I got a lob wedge, it's going to probably go 50, 60 feet left.
Right.
Just because of that change, when we were showing how much that, if the ball is way above my feet, that's where the ball's going.
Exactly.
I got to understand that. But if I have my, grab my 5-iron and the ball's way above my feet, it's going a little bit left compared to that, but it's not like the lob wedge or sand wedge.
Right. So, in other words, the higher the loft, the more effect it's going to have on lie angle.
Yep. Yep. And one day we'll talk about like wedges and bounce and how much bounce I need, where I need bounce, different turf conditions and stuff. But
right,
we're not covering that today. We're just talking about the fact that it's there.
Right.
And I have to be aware of that if I ask somebody to bend, because I never had people come into the shop saying, could you make these weaker? It was always, can I make these stronger? And I was like, well, I can't, you want them 3 degrees stronger. I can do that with the pitching wedge because there's enough bounce, but I can't do that with your 6-iron because your 6-iron only has 2 degrees of bounce to begin with. And if I bend it, 3 degrees, you now have a scoop, a negative bounce, and that will not be fun.
Right.
And it will get worse throughout the set.
Right. Well, Gene, I think that covers everything for today. As far as our viewers, I just want to say thank you once again. Me and Gene are very appreciative of all the support you guys give us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe to us. If you have any questions, as always, email us at clubfittingchronicles@gmail.com. Gene is very generous about answering questions, and that is shown in these podcasts. We do answer questions. And next episode, we're planning on talking about single length irons or driver heads. What are you?
I was
still
thinking maybe
that?
people could write in and tell us what they want to hear about.
Yeah.
We could talk about the myth of the adjustable driver. That's always a fun topic.
I want to show you this in next episode, but there is one club. Okay, it's just one club, and it's your entire golf bag. It is just one loft. Have you seen that? Have you seen that?
Yeah. You twist the little dial. The thing that you have to understand, it's a great novelty thing, but you can't tighten that thing enough so that because I would have people come in with them and it would be stripped because they hit the ball, often with this club, and it's kind of like a little gear. And, from the force of impact, if you're swinging, say if you swing at 100 miles an hour, the ball comes off a driver face at 150. That's a big collision. And, you get somebody swinging really hard and you hit the earth with that, you got this little tiny gear thing that's holding the thing together. And over time, if you didn't have it as snug as humanly possible, it would start to wiggle a little bit. But that was I would see those from time to time. Those were kind of always an interesting. Why did we have one of these?
Funny. They're funny. Yeah, I saw that probably a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, huh. I was like, I wonder how Gene would feel about this. but yeah, that's the end of today's episode.
Yep. All right. Well, you have a good weekend, and I'm sure you got spring break in here somewhere, or
it's
something like that.
It's coming up.
And I have half of the Midwest coming to visit this week, and so I am playing host. And I'm still waiting to hear from Alabama about the Robert Trent Jones Trail.
Alabama, come on, let's go.
Take care, Josh.
Where you at? Take care.
Amen. We love you, Alabama. We want to hear from you. God bless.